Welcome to my new video. In my videos, you will not only find famous quotes and proverbs, but I will also explain their meaning. Because I wish that even after death, I can convey the explanation of these famous sayings to everyone. Without further delay, let the video begin. Death is as sure for that which is born, as birth is for that which is dead. Therefore, grieve not for what is inevitable. The quote suggests that one should not grieve over death, because it is an inevitable part of life, and everyone has to face it at some point in time. Instead, one should focus on living life to the fullest, and making the most of the time they have on earth. If you do karma with selfless action, then you will be able to free yourself from the bondage of desires. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita suggests that performing selfless actions, without the desire for personal gain, can lead to freedom from the attachment to desires. Instead, we act purely for the sake of helping others, or contributing to a greater good. This mindset frees us from the cycle of desire, an attachment that can lead to suffering and dissatisfaction. See the flower, how generously it distributes perfume and honey. It gives to all, gives freely of its love. When its work is done, it falls away quietly. Try to be like the flower, unassuming despite all its qualities. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita encourages us to be like a flower that gives freely without expecting anything in return. The quote urges us to be like the flower, to be humble and unassuming despite all our qualities and abilities. It reminds us that we should not be attached to our own ego, and should instead focus on the work that we are meant to do in the world. Whatever happened, happened for the good. Whatever is happening for the good. Whatever will also happen for the good. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita is often interpreted to mean that events in our lives happen for a reason, and that reason is ultimately for our own good. It also encourages us to focus on the present moment, rather than worrying excessively about the future or dwelling on the past, since everything that happens is ultimately part of a larger, divine plan. The mind acts like an enemy for those who do not control it. According to the quote, if we do not have control over our thoughts and emotions, they can become like an enemy, leading us down negative paths, and causing us to act against our own best interests. To avoid this, we must learn to discipline our minds, training them to focus on positive, productive thoughts and to let go of negative or unhelpful ones. No one who does good work will ever come to a bad end, either here or in the world come. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita emphasizes the importance of doing good work and living a virtuous life. However, this quote should not be taken to mean that we should do good work simply to reap rewards, but rather as a reminder that our actions have consequences, both in this life and beyond. Creation is only the projection into form of that which already exists. Meaning of this quote: everything that exists in the universe, including living beings, objects, and ideas, already exists in a more subtle or abstract form, and creation is simply the process of giving that form a physical expression. Do everything you have to do, but not with greed, not with ego, not with lust, not with envy, but with love, compassion, humility, and devotion. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita provides guidance on how to approach our actions and tasks in life. Instead of being driven by negative qualities such as greed, ego, lust, or envy, we should approach our tasks with love, compassion, humility, and devotion. He who has no attachments can truly love others, for his love is pure and divine. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita suggests that true love is possible only for those who have freed themselves from attachments. Ultimately, this quote emphasizes the importance of detachment and spiritual growth in our quest for true love and happiness. The happiness which comes from long practice, which leads to the end of suffering, which at first is like poison, but at last like nectar, this kind of happiness arises from the serenity of one's own mind. According to the quote, this kind of happiness is not something that can be attained instantly, or through external means, but rather through long practice and the cultivation of a serene, focused mind. By cultivating a calm and peaceful mind, we can experience a profound sense of inner fulfillment and well-being, regardless of our external circumstances. When meditation is mastered, the mind is unwavering like the flame of a lamp in a windless place. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita suggests that the practice of meditation can help to cultivate a state of mental focus and stability. When we are able to master our meditation practice, our mind becomes unwavering and steady, like the flame of a lamp in a windless place. Experience cold or heat, pleasure or pain. These experiences are fleeting, they come and go. Bear them patiently. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita encourages us to adopt an attitude of patience and equanimity towards the ups and downs of life. This quote highlights the importance of cultivating resilience and inner strength in the face of life's challenges, and encourages us to embrace the impermanent nature of our experiences. The mind is restless and difficult to restrain, but it is subdued by practice. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita suggests that, through consistent effort and discipline, we can learn to master our thoughts and emotions, and to cultivate a greater sense of mental focus and stability. This quote highlights the transformative power of practice and discipline, and encourages us to persevere in our efforts to cultivate a more peaceful and centered mind. He who has let go of hatred, who treats all beings with kindness and compassion, who is always serene, unmoved by pain or pleasure, free of the I and mine, self-controlled, firm and patient, his whole mind focused on me, that is the man I love best. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita describes the qualities of a person who is deeply loved by the divine. This quote highlights the importance of cultivating these qualities in order to deepen our spiritual connection and find inner peace and fulfillment. By practicing kindness, compassion, and self-control, we can transcend our individual egos and connect with something greater than ourselves, experiencing a sense of love and unity with all beings. We're kept from our goal not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita suggests that one of the main obstacles to achieving our goals is not the presence of external obstacles, but rather a lack of clarity and focus in our pursuit of those goals. This quote encourages us to stay focused on our highest aspirations, and to resist the temptation to settle for less than we are capable of achieving. A person can rise through the efforts of his own mind, or draw himself down in the same manner, because each person is his own friend or enemy. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita highlights the power of our own thoughts and actions to shape our lives. According to the text, we have the ability to lift ourselves up through the power of our own minds and efforts, or to bring ourselves down through our own negative thoughts and behaviors. You came here empty-handed, and you will leave empty-handed. What is yours today belonged to someone else yesterday, and will belong to someone else tomorrow. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita emphasizes the transient nature of material possessions and the impermanence of our lives. It suggests that we should not become overly attached to our possessions or material wealth, as these things are ultimately temporary and will pass away. By recognizing the temporary nature of material things, we can learn to appreciate the present moment and cherish the relationships and experiences that truly matter in life. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. We are made of our thoughts. We are molded by our thoughts. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita highlights the power of our thoughts in shaping our lives. By recognizing the power of our thoughts, we can learn to cultivate a positive, growth-oriented mindset and take control of our lives, rather than being controlled by outside forces. You have the right to work, but never to the fruit of work. This quote suggests that we should focus on the effort we put into our work, rather than the outcome or rewards we may receive. Instead, the text suggests that we should focus on doing our work with a sense of duty and detachment, without being concerned about the fruits of our labor. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita speaks to the indestructible nature of the soul or Atman. It suggests that the soul is eternal and cannot be destroyed or damaged by any external force or element. One who sees an action in action, an action in an action, is intelligent among men. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita speaks to the idea of perceiving the true nature of actions. This means that we should not be fooled by appearances, and should strive to understand the deeper implications of our actions. Perform your duty and leave the rest to God. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita emphasizes the importance of performing one's duty or actions without attachment to the outcome or results. This does not mean that one should be passive or not take responsibility for their actions, but rather that they should act with detachment and surrender to the divine will. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, is always the same. According to this quote, a wise person is one who remains balanced and unruffled in the face of both favorable and unfavorable circumstances. By remaining steadfast in their values and beliefs, they are able to navigate life with grace and dignity, inspiring others to follow their example. The wise see that there is action in the midst of inaction and inaction in the midst of action. The wise perceive that even when we appear to be inactive, we are still taking action in some way, and even when we are actively doing something, there may be a sense of inaction. This is because our actions are not solely physical, they also involve our thoughts, emotions, and intentions. Therefore, even when we are not doing anything physically, we may still be taking action through our thoughts and intentions. A gift is pure when it is given from the heart, to the right person at the right time and place, and when we expect nothing in return. This quote from Bhagavad Gita emphasizes the importance of the intention behind giving a gift. The quote also suggests that a pure gift is not just about material possessions, but can also refer to giving of one's time, attention, and love. Those who are motivated only by desire for the fruits of action are miserable, for they are constantly anxious about the results of what they do. This quote highlights the importance of detachment from the outcome of our actions. By doing so, we can detach ourselves from the outcome and experience a sense of peace and fulfillment in the present moment. The power of God is with you at all times, through the activities of mind, senses, breathing, and emotions, and is constantly doing all the work using you as a mere instrument. It means that every action or thought a person has is guided by the power of God, and it is important to recognize this and surrender to it. By recognizing the presence of the divine in oneself, a person can act as an instrument of God and fulfill their purpose in life. The happiness which comes from the senses soon turns into pain, but the happiness of the spirit is eternal. This happiness is dependent on external circumstances, and as soon as those circumstances change, the pleasure disappears, and pain can follow. It is not dependent on temporary pleasure, and it cannot be taken away by external circumstances. Thus, this quote reminds us that the pursuit of material pleasure alone is not the path to lasting happiness. A man's own self is his friend, a man's own self is his foe. If one can master their own thoughts and emotions, they can find peace and happiness. However, if one allows negative thoughts and emotions to control them, they can become their own worst enemy. It highlights the need to be mindful of one's own actions and thoughts, to control the mind rather than allowing the mind to control oneself. He who is of a calm and composed mind will eventually attain liberation. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita emphasizes the importance of cultivating a calm and composed mind in order to attain liberation, which refers to freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Ultimately, it is only by transcending the limitations of the mind that one can attain true liberation. There is neither this world, nor the world beyond, nor happiness for the one who doubts. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita emphasizes the importance of faith and conviction. This quote encourages individuals to cultivate a sense of faith and trust in the universe, as it can lead to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. The soul is never born nor dies at any time. Soul has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita is referring to the concept of the eternal soul or Atman. It suggests that the soul is not subject to birth or death, but rather exists eternally. The Supreme Self is beyond name and form, beyond the senses, inexhaustible, without beginning, without end, beyond time, space, and causality. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita refers to the concept of the Supreme Self, which is the ultimate reality that exists beyond the physical realm. By recognizing the Supreme Self, one can attain a state of inner peace and transcend the limitations of the physical world. It is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. According to the Bhagavad Gita, every individual has a unique destiny, and it is their duty to fulfill it. The Gita encourages people to embrace their imperfections and work towards fulfilling their own destiny. Perform your duty, abandon all attachment to success or failure. Such evenness of mind is called yoga. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita emphasizes the importance of detachment from the outcome of one's actions. Success and failure are both temporary and subjective, and should not be the ultimate goal. This means that one should approach life with a sense of detachment and inner calm, regardless of whether their efforts lead to success or failure. Set thy heart upon thy work, but never on its reward. By focusing on the work and doing it to the best of one's abilities, one can attain a state of detachment from the outcome, which is essential to maintain equanimity in the face of success or failure. This attitude of detachment, known as nishkam karma or selfless action, is a central teaching of the Gita and is seen as a key to achieving inner peace and contentment. The power of positive thinking is like a mighty engine that can drive you to success and happiness. While the Bhagavad Gita does not use the term positive thinking, it does emphasize the power of one's thoughts and attitudes. The quote may be interpreted as an encouragement to cultivate positive thoughts and attitudes in order to achieve success and happiness. Additionally, the Gita emphasizes the importance of having a positive attitude towards one's duty. As mentioned in the quote, "Perform your duty, abandon all attachment to success or failure." Overall, the Bhagavad Gita highlights the importance of positive thinking and attitudes in achieving personal growth and success. Those who are steady in their determination for self-realization and who are ever victorious over the senses achieve happiness and liberation in the Supreme. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita emphasizes the importance of being determined in the pursuit of self-realization and maintaining control over the senses. Therefore, by being ever victorious over the senses, one can attain happiness and liberation in the Supreme, which refers to the ultimate reality or God. A man is made by his belief. As he believes, so he becomes. It suggests that a person's belief system determines their thoughts, attitudes, and actions, ultimately influencing their character and the path they take in life. On the other hand, if one has limiting beliefs or negative self-talk, they may struggle to achieve their goals and fulfill their potential. The peace of God is with them whose mind and soul are in harmony, who are free from desire and wrath, who know their own soul. Meaning of this quote: when one's mind and soul are in harmony, and when one is free from negative emotions and desires, one can experience the divine peace that transcends all worldly troubles. This peace is not dependent on external factors, but rather on one's internal state of mind and soul. Thank you for watching.